Nick, Andy, we are at a pivotal stage of the Champions League campaign. Semi-final, second legs coming up. The first legs were absolute beauties, both of them. We've got Bayern Munich against Real Madrid. That's 2-2 after the first leg in Munich. And then Borussia Dortmund leading Paris Saint-Germain 1-0 going into the second leg in Paris. So, Nick Mendola, this is perfectly poised, right, for these huge clashes. Sort of underdogs Dortmund looking very good against PSG. And then nothing to really separate Bayern and Real Madrid. And anything could really happen in that second leg. So who impressed you most and what do you kind of take away heading into these second legs?
100% biased admitting that, but Borussia Dortmund impressed me the most because I didn't expect much from them. And we know their stadium can be your proverbial cauldron. But this is a team, when you look at the lineup, there are players, exceptional players who at points of their careers have been, the story. Mats Hummels was the story before he went to Bayern Munich and became kind of an afterthought, or maybe worse than that. Sancho, the story for multiple transfer windows. And now, by the way, subplot, imagine if he wins the Champions League as the man of the match, which he was the other day. Most dribbles completed by an Englishman in a Champions League game. So, yes, I really like Dortmund. I have their scarves hanging up right there. Ooh, I pointed in the right direction. I am super excited to continue to root for them. But that's the story for me because I didn't expect them to come away leading. And the way they defended with Schlotterbeck and Hummels was very impressive.
It really was. And they should have won probably by more, Andy. That's the only reason I'm a bit worried about Dortmund in the second leg because PSG, we saw it, they hit the post a couple of times, had some good chances. In Germany in that first leg. So you would think Mbappe and Dembele and the other great strikers they have will probably bury one of those chances at home in the second leg. But as Nick mentioned there, Dortmund have put themselves in a really good position now. And the way they defended, the way they kept the ball, just mature. And this is a team that's been struggling in the Bundesliga this season in fifth place. So pretty amazing. And I guess they always have that feeling of being a cup team, right? And doing well over the years in the Champions League and other European competitions. But do you expect PSG just kind of click back in and get to the final at Wembley Stadium?
I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I do think they're probably slight favorites because it is just the one goal advantage for Dortmund going into the home leg in Paris. I think it's the same way in the other tie as well. Probably the fact that it's level and 2-2. Bayern kind of they skated by a bit at times during that game, and I think we're a little bit fortunate to be in there. So I do favor both of the home sides in the second legs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at some of Dortmund's numbers this season, they are in fifth. They're just over a goal per game conceded, though, and so they do have, I think, they do have the ability to go into Paris and give PSG trouble. I look at Mbappe and I see a semifinal second leg, knowing that he's departing PSG this summer. Probably, has that been officially announced? Is it unofficial? No idea where that lands at the moment. But I feel like that's a moment for him. And that he's going to kind of go out maybe with a bang for PSG. We'll see, potentially maybe go on and win the final. But it's just, this has been such a good Champions League this season because we have had the big names in there, but they look different. Bayern, completely different, struggling domestically. Real Madrid, very, very young now at this point, with the exception of a couple old heads there in the team. Dortmund have just turned over and built an entirely new team from the last couple of years, as they do every single year. PSG, aside from Mbappe, have gotten away from the global superstars. And so all of these teams look different, but the results on the field have them in the exact same place at the same time of year once again.
Yeah, and don't forget, obviously, PSG and Dortmund played each other in the group stage as well, so they know each other so well. And that's the fourth time they're going to play each other in this competition this season. So I just wonder who that favours. But I want to shout out one other guy, Fulkrog, up top for Dortmund. Great goal, great hold-up play, just an exceptional talent there, and someone who's come from really nowhere to be probably the main man for Germany up top this summer at the Euros on home soil. So I feel like he's got another big game in him, at least in this one. We look at the other game, Real Madrid against Bayern Munich. You mentioned it there, Andy. I mean, Nick probably favours Real Madrid going back to the Bernabeu with a 2-2 draw, but something about this Bayern team, just again with Thomas Tuchel, if you've got any kind of coach that can manage in this situation and maybe grind out a victory and maybe a Harry Kane header in the box and hit him on the counter with Sane and a few others. This feels like it's quite a dangerous situation for Real Madrid. And I don't know if some of their star players didn't really show up in the first leg in Munich.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Daniel Sturridge, because I don't know if you saw his prediction that Sane would score and Kane would get a penalty, which was pretty remarkable. He put that on Twitter. But no, I love the way Kane looked. Sane was sensational. They have the chance. Look, they've been there. Players like Kimmich, Neuer's been around. These guys have been around the block. So anything is possible there. I worry about their back line against Real Madrid at home, white everything waving at the Bernabeu. And I also look at Real Madrid's back line as perhaps a chance because Kane can make do on the one or two chances he gets a game. But that's the thing. I think Madrid will have a lot of chances and Bayern will have a few. It's hard to say for sure that Bayern makes the most of it, but I would love it for Harry Kane. So maybe I'm being biased there too.
It's true. I think, Andy, you echo those views, right, on Harry Kane. But it just seems like Real Madrid, it's inevitable at this point that they are going to reach the final, given it's history, it's different seasons, but that has a weight, and the expectation and the pressure, even though this team is young, they have risen to the occasion so many times this season and over the last few seasons. So it seems like everything's pointing towards Real Madrid against Paris Saint-Germain, but I don't know. I'm just thinking an all-German final once again in the Champions League final at Wembley. That's a real possibility too. So these two ties can go either way.
Yeah, it is. 2 years ago, Real Madrid won this thing. And so a lot of the players on the team, while young, were either in that team or around that team at the time. And so the experience of having gone through all of that is there for Real Madrid. Obviously, Bayern have been in the latter stages, but this is a very different looking Bayern team than we've seen. I do think there is one thing that sets up, I think, quite well, maybe for Munich in the second leg. Where Real Madrid are the most dangerous right now is on the counter attack, when they've got Rodrigo and they've got Vinicius just out in open space, destroying teams, getting in by it's one pass and they are gone. It's really incredible how quick they can get forward. I don't think they're going to have a ton of space in behind Bayern in the second leg. I think they're going to sit a little bit deeper and defend. That is going to obviously make things a little bit more difficult going forward for Bayern. And so it's going to be about finding the balance of those two things. And if we know one thing, Thomas Tuchel always going to err on the side of caution. And so it'll be a little bit more defensive than expansive. And so maybe Madrid struggle to get a goal in the first 30 or 45 minutes, and it becomes a little bit cagey late. I think that's probably what we're all hoping. And then it's one of those big players in the big moment, whether it's Vinicius, making his case for Balon d'Or this year, Harry Kane making his case for Balon d'Or this year. That's a little subplot. Without Messi and Ronaldo in Europe and Haaland having a bit of a down year, it's like 8 players across the continent that could probably win the Ballon d'Or with a strong finish to the domestic campaign and the European campaign, but also international tournaments this summer launching into next season as well.
Yeah, let's not forget Jude Bellingham as well. He's probably a leading contender given the first season he's had at Real Madrid, and he gets him over the line to win a Champions League. Nick, very quickly, who do you see in the final on June 1st at Wembley in the Champions League final?
PSG and Real Madrid. Don't want to see it. Will probably pay less stringent attention in the lead up to watching the final, but Mbappe is fantastic, and to think that they won't score a goal, let alone many goals, is just a lot to take. I want to see a Classicer in the final. I'm not going to lie to you. Second best, I would want to see Dortmund versus Madrid, but I think PSG Real is what we're looking at.
Andy?
I'll go Real Dortmund by the skin of their teeth. I have enough friends who follow Dortmund very closely to know that nothing that ever happens with that club makes sense. And I think them going through to the final in this one probably would make the least sense.
I'm going to go for Dortmund against Bayern. I think it's going to be, like you said, it suits them better in the second leg to sit back deep, defend. And I think both teams have very good players on the counter-attack. And target men in Harry Kane and Fulkrug, and I think that will work really well. And there's a lot of pressure now on Real Madrid and PSG at home. And I just feel like at certain times this season, both of those teams just have had moments where it hasn't clicked for them and there hasn't looked like many options. I mean, look at Real Madrid against Man City in the quarterfinals, and look at PSG even during the group stage and at times against Barcelona. They found a way to get over, but I feel like Dortmund and Bayern right now go into this with a little bit of less pressure and know what they have to do, defend deep and rely on some of their big players to come up. So that's why I'm going for the Classica in the final at Wembley on June 1st. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk at NBCSports.com for all the latest on the Champions League semi-finals as we approach the second legs. Huge games both in Madrid and Paris to see who reaches the final in London.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.